YouTube, and attendees can come in, and we're being recorded.
Looks like people are logging in, so we'll give that a moment. Welcome to everybody that's logging in. We'll get started in just a moment. Well, welcome to another webinar of our Consortium for Innovation in Post-Harvest Loss and Food Waste Reduction. We're very pleased that one of our key partner institutions from ESALC in University of Sao Paulo in Brazil are presenting actually another seminar, contributing another seminar, this one on a new post-harvest loss information system that is essentially an online database that has been one of the goals of the consortium to make available for any researcher, scientist around the world, but also for others from public, private companies, NGOs, and government agencies to gain access more readily to the kind of publications that have been released over the last number of years. This comes out of the research group of Professor José Cacheta, who's also with us, and two of his researchers in the group, Fernando da Rocha and Tiago Pera, and both of them are with us today. And so I want to just turn it over to them. Again, I appreciate everybody that's joining us. And I want to express also my appreciation to our team here at Iowa State, University of Maryland, Jorge Chicas, Nicholas Appleton, and Cassie McGee for organizing the seminar today. So over to you guys in Brazil, and we look forward to your information, and also any Q&A as well as any chat is welcome to be shared throughout this seminar. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Greetings from Brazil. I hope everything's fine with you and your family. It's a pleasure to be here today to talk about our research with the final results. First of all, I'd like to thank you, Professor Dirk, Cassie, Nicholas, for organizing the event. Today, we are going to talk about SIPPOC, the Post-Harvest Loss Information System. The second version of SIPPOC was developed to consolidate all the research we carry out involving our participation in the consortium in this two-year period. The first version of SIPPOC only showed the scenario of losses in Brazil. Yeah. With the research within the consortium, it was possible to consolidate a large database of information involving post-harvest losses at global level. In addition, we integrate this information in a web-based IT platform for free access with data analysis and visualization tools. We hope people access SIPPOC for research and decision-making. In Brazil, the SIPPOC is widely accessed, included by government and agents. So we understand the consortium support was essential for the improvement of the system. Well, I will hand over to Fernando now, who will demonstrate the system.
So, hello everyone. Thanks, Thiago. Thank you, Dirk, and all the consortium members that are organizing this webinar. So, okay, let's talk about the post-harvest loss information system. And we are very happy to be here today and launching this platform, launching the SIPPOC. We are calling this a SIPPOC in Brazil. And as Thiago told, we want to make this platform public, it's free of charge, and we want to introduce to international academics, international institutions, and to start to use the SIPPOC as a source of information related to the post-harvest loss. So, just before I start talking about SIPPOC, I'd like to take this chance to, very short, explain what ExalcLog has been doing in the last few years, since 1997. So, Professor José Vicente Gacheta Filho is a full professor at the University of São Paulo, at the Exalc in Brazil, and he founded the ExalcLog group, and he's the general coordinator of the group. And the main activities of ExalcLog is related to the information. So, we are a very important freight transportation and freight information provider to the society, to the market in the Brazilian context. So, ExalcLog has been working with data collection, consolidating information in databases and analysis related to the freight transportation costs, storage costs, and in the recent years, post-harvest loss, and that's why we are calling the SIPPOC and launching this second version today. We also have great expertise in transportation market analysis. We have been doing many kind of agro-logistic studies and projects, organizing events, training and courses, and the most recent project that we launched a few months ago, the Luiz de Queiroz Logistics Museum. So when you all come to Brazil, please come to Piracicaba and visit us to get to know our structure, get to know ExalcLog, and also you have a very nice logistics museum to see. So what about SIPPOC? So SIPPOC is the post-harvest loss information system. So SIPPOC aims to provide information and tools related to the post-harvest loss, not only for Brazilian context, but different countries, different supply chain steps, different crops. So we created, our original idea was to create a website that integrated GIS information, geographic information system, a kind of loss calculator tools that are related to the post-harvest loss. In this case, until now for grains, but we can aggregate other kind of information in this calculator. And SIPPOC, the main thing, the main issue inside the platform is a database that consolidates loss indicator for different crops and different logistical activities. And the main goal of SIPPOC is to help decision makers in terms of decisions related to the post-harvest loss in Brazil and worldwide. So 2 months ago, we did a webinar in Portuguese for the Brazilian people, talking about SIPPOC, talking about the tools, talking about this new version of SIPPOC. And as Thiago told in the beginning of the presentation, we have been receiving many kind of comments, many kind of suggestions for the public and private sectors in Brazil. And I think the SIPPOC has doing a good job in aggregating post-harvest loss information and making some tools available for academics and other agents for public and private sectors. So what about the development of SIPPOC? So the original idea started in 2017. So we started this SIPPOC project, and on that time he was supported by FAPESP. So FAPESP is a public foundation in Brazil that supports many different kind of research. And on that time, the original idea, the original activities, the initial activities were financed by FAPESP. And on 2017, we started the data collection processes. So in 2018, we launched the very first version of SIPPOC, the Post-Harvest Loss Information System. But on that time, we are more related to the Brazilian context and São Paulo state context. So in 2019, Untitled became member of the Consortium for Innovation in Post-Harvest Loss and Food Waste Reduction. And let's make SIPPOC bigger. Let's consolidate more and more information in this information system. And we start on that time to work to update SIPPOC. So during 2020, we did many activities related to the update of this information system. So we did a very huge data collection. We had many kind of developments, IT developments in terms to consolidate the web platform. And in this year, we finally launched this updated version of SIPPOC. That's the version I'm talking to you guys today in this webinar. So this is a very short history, the effects about the development of SIPPOC since the original idea. And now I'm changing my screen here. And this is SIPPOC. This is the original version. This is the actual version of SIPPOC. In the presentation, you will receive the link to access, to register, and to check it out in terms all the tools that we have in this platform. So, as I told you, SIPPOC is the Post-Harvest Loss Information System, and we aim to provide information and tools related to this issue for academics, for non-academics people, for public and private sector. So the first product that we have here in SIPPOC is what we are calling the Global Post-Harvest Loss Information Database. I think here we, in fact, consolidate a huge number of information in terms of post-harvest loss for 22 different crops, for more than 80 countries and more than 200 papers. So what is the main idea about this post-harvest loss information database? So we did a very huge work to revise and to search and revise some papers and articles that were published since 2001, since 2000, and we collect and we consolidate the information. Okay, what is the average loss for a specific crop, for a specific year, and for a specific supply chain level, and we put all this information together. So nowadays, SIPPOC has more than 4,000, almost 5,000 informations. And here we are calling informations as a number of the average loss for a country, for a crop, and for a specific supply chain level. So here we have some database overview, the number of papers per year, the post-harvest loss data per crop group, per crop, and per country, and again per country. So here we have United States of America, Brazil, and India are the top three countries with the greater number of information in this platform. And so our idea since the beginning is to create some tools that make it easier to the users explore the numbers in the difference in terms of post-harvest loss for different crops, different countries, different supply chain levels. So here, for example, you can see the average numbers of post-harvest loss in the farm, for example, here in the middle of your screen. And you can see each circle is a different crop. And the bigger the circle, the bigger the average of the post-harvest loss in this supply chain level for the specific crop. The same idea here for storage. You can see the average number. You can see the crop. in the retail and transportation. And here, for example, you can click here in the farm, in this case, you can see a box plot, a box chart with all the information. So all the information per crop of post-harvest loss in the farm that we have consolidated in the SIPPOC database has been presented in this box plot chart. So you can change the supply chain level, farm, transportation, and storage. And this is the beginning of how the comparisons can, how the tool make it easier to compare the food loss for different crops and for different supply chain levels. So this is the first tool that explore a little bit the kind of information that we have in our database. So again, in this case, average number for a specific crop and for a specific supply chain level. Another way to explore the data is more related to the supply chain levels. So here you can select the crop, the specific crop that you want to analyze. Just for an example, I will select here grains, and I'm talking about soybean, corn, maize, wheat, and other kind of grains, is a general aspect. And here it gives us some information about the losses. So per paper, by papers in this case, in different supply chain levels. So what about the losses in the consumer, in the retail, during the storage, during the transport operation? And when a paper works, give us information about the total loss in the supply chain, we have this also this supply chain level as characterized as total. So each information here, each point of this box plot chart is related to an average number that came from a paper, and also the user can select it here and see the box plot organized by countries. So here we are comparing different countries in terms of grains, post-harvest loss during storage. In this case, on the right side of the screen, we are talking about the total loss in the supply chain. So the user can select it again, can see the information by papers or by countries, and can select many kind of products, many kind of crops that has data available in the SIPPOC database. So those are two ways to see and explore the data. So, and compare the countries, compare the products, and compare the supply chain levels. And here, in the last case, we have 30 options, and we put available the whole database that we consolidate so far. So for undergrad students or grad students or any kind of people that are interested in to get know a little bit more about the post-harvest loss numbers and main indicators for different crops, different countries, and different supply chain level, SIPPOC can provide this information in a very easy and very fast way. So the user can select a specific crop, and here he would see the country, the average information, and the supply chain level. So the user also can select a specific country to see how the numbers are, what are the main numbers of specific countries, and of course, the user can select a specific supply chain level also to see all the numbers. This is really important related to the platform. The user can download all the information that are consolidated in the SIPPOC databases, and these informations are organized, giving information by crop, making specifically by crop, country, supply chain level, and we also have some information about the method the authors of the paper used to get the number, and also some information about the bibliography of the paper. So again, we think in this case, this way to explore the post-harvest loss database are a very good way for academics and other people to get to know a little bit more and have an initial explore a little bit in the initial phase the main numbers about post-harvest loss for different crops, countries, supply chain levels, and the average numbers related to the post-harvest loss. So this is a very short overview about the global post-harvest loss information database. The second thing about SIPPOC is related to what we are calling a grains post-harvest loss calculator. So our idea here is was to develop a calculator that help the users to calculate the total loss, in this case of grains, and make the information available by supply chain level. So just for example here, I want to select grains. In terms of transport operation, I would select multimodal transport operation. So we have here roads and railway transportation. So in this operation, I'm talking about an export flow, and I would select here, there is a storage operation outside the farm. So when you select these criteria, this calculator give you some general numbers of relative loss level. So in this case, the road transportation from farm to the warehouse has 0.50% of the total cargo loaded in the truck. And the same idea for storage, the road transportation for the warehouse, the railway terminal, during the railway terminal until the port. So this we have a relative parameter, relative loss parameter. We also have another parameters here, so the total distance traveled by the road, total distance traveled by the railway, the product price, so we are going to have some economic indicators about the loss, and the total amount of cargo that we are moving through this supply chain. And this, you can change all this information. We have here some general parameters, but it can be changed. For example, I will include here different distance during transport, road transport operation. And here we have the calculator. You're calculating the loss for each one of the logistical steps, the logistics activities. So we have here the relative loss and the total loss in tons, and we have the relative loss of the total loss calculated for this specifically supply chain. And we also have another kind of information, the total loss in tons, the relative loss index, the economic loss. So that's why we put the product price, the environmental loss. So many works are concerned about, what about the CO2 aspect related to the food loss? So we insert this kind of indexes, this kind of information in this calculator. And we also have some nutritional loss in calories, proteins, fat, carbohydrates. And now we have almost the same information here in graphs. So the loss in area, in hectare, using in this case the Brazilian main numbers. The losses the relative loss by logistical activities, the loss in calories, the protein loss, the carbohydrates loss, and the fat loss for soy, corn, and wheat in this case. So this is the grain post-harvest loss calculator, the main aspects about this calculator. And in terms of future perspectives, future developments, we'd like to insert other products and other different kind of supply chains in this calculator. in other countries, and more information. SIPPOC also has, specifically for São Paulo state in Brazil, a map of grains post-harvest loss. So in this case, we have information, we have calculated information for corn and soybean, and you can select the product here. In this, so far we have soybean and corn, and you also can select the supply chain level. So, okay, I want to see the loss during the road transportation in São Paulo state for soybean. So you can click in next, and you can see the information plotted in this map, and you can see the numbers, the main numbers about the regional loss for different regions in São Paulo state. The same idea, you selected corn now, and the total loss considering the whole supply chain in São Paulo state. So we have more total loss in this region of Assis, for example, and in this region of Campinas, when we are talking about corn that are produced and moved in São Paulo state in Brazil. And again, and last, we also have a GIS information, geographic information systems of agrologistics indicator for São Paulo state. So it's a little bit similar with the last map, but here you can select the logistics indicator. So the storage capacity for grains in São Paulo state, and you can very fast see how the storage capacity are distributed in São Paulo state in Brazil, for example. You also can see plot, for example, the road density of the regions in São Paulo state. And for example, just to give another example, the soy productions in São Paulo state. So these two items of SIPPOC are mostly related with São Paulo state. And future ideas, for future developments, it can be done for other Brazilian regions, other countries, other crops, but this is the beginning, and it's available on the post-harvest loss information system. So I move it fast. I try to be very straight to the point when presenting the SIPPOC tools, the kind of tools and information that we have in the platform. And we at Exotlog, we invited you all to get access to the SIPPOC platform and navigate through all the indicators, all the tools, all the analysis. So this is the link and also a QR code to access the post-harvest loss information system. And nowadays we have the information system, the SIPPOC, in Portuguese and in an English version. So again, we want to make it available worldwide. What we want to see, to interact with people through using the SIPPOC system. And more than that, especially for another consortium members, but how the academic society, since the beginning, we have been thinking about SIPPOC as a platform to make new papers, new works related to the post-harvest loss measure available for the whole society, academic and private sectors worldwide. So if you have a new paper, if you have a new result on post-harvest loss measuring for different crops, different countries, different supply chain levels, send the papers to us, and we want to make it available on the SIPPOC platform. So I think it's a very good way, and a very easy way to increase the database and increase the how people and make it easier to the people and academics and other guys to use and see and think about how post-harvest loss is occurring in different countries and different crops. So we prepared a form, a Google form, to make it easier to receive these new findings, these new papers, and you can access this using the link and using the QR code. And we would be very happy if you could send the papers to us in order to help us increase the number of data, the number of papers, number of information available in the platform. So that's the presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. I try to be very specifically and straight to the point when presenting SIPPOC. And any kind of comments, any kind of suggestions are more than welcome. Thank you.
Fernando and Thiago, thank you so much for a very concise presentation. We have a great group of people participating that have been chatting and also have several questions. So I'm going to read the first question and let you respond to that. Don Huppel is asking, what criteria did you use to admit data into your information system on post-harvest loss? Or is the evaluation of the data quality left up to the individual users? And I suppose that second part of the question really is, as you make the possibility available for people to enter or submit papers, how will they be reviewed before they will become part of the database?
Okay, that's a great question. So until now, since the beginning of the SIPPOC idea, we collected paper in the academic papers databases, as for example, the Web of Science. So we did a different kind of data collection processes. So using this kind of database, and we select, okay, let's see what kind of papers, which papers have worked with the measurement of post-harvest loss in different countries for different crops and different supply chain levels. So we download these databases of these papers from the database, and this is a paper published in a peer-reviewed journal or in a conference. Is a final result. So we add this information in the platform. We did not add information about the working papers, for example. So we try to grab information just for published papers and published works, and we put this information in the platform. And the platform, the thing is that the SIPPOC give to the user the information, the source of the information. And for a specific user, this kind of information from this kind of source is not interested for me. So the user can exclude the information, this information, for example, if that happens during a specific use of the information for a specific article, work, and research, this kind of thing. But this was the method we have been using so far.
And so you would expect when people are submitting an article for inclusion in the database, how will you decide to let that go into the database?
Sorry, Derek, could you repeat, please?
When somebody submits, say a new paper is published and they use the forms to submit it to you, how do you plan to review that article? Okay, so
I think that's the same idea. So using the QR code or the form to send us information about a new paper. So using the form, the authors can insert, I'm working with this crop for this country. Those are the main numbers. So internally, our team at SIPPOC will revise the paper to double check the information, the average number. And again, this is a published paper in a peer review journal or a conference. Okay, we can insert all the information about the paper in the database. The forms, it's important to say, the form is do not automatically insert the information in the database. But that's why we are asking the abstract, the main information, the main findings, and the user can attach it, the paper, and send it to us to this, to double check processes in terms of the number.
Good. There's another question by Abdul Rahman Khan. You mentioned the post-harvest loss separately for each crop or mix, like guava and mango and mangosteen. I think you sort of addressed it, but perhaps you will just briefly address that again. So in other words, if a crop is mixed, you mentioned PHL.
Okay, so we use the information that are provided, that are inserted on the papers in the works. So, the paper worked with mango. Oh, the paper worked with juice, mango juice. So we try to be very specifically using the information that we grab from the paper. And in this case, for example, we have soybean, we have numbers for corn, we have numbers for wheat, and we also have numbers for grains in a general aspect. Okay, those papers listed worked with grains in the general aspect. They did not treat the crops in different ways. So that's why we have okay, we have soybean, we have wheat, we have corn, but we have a specific category for grains. Okay, the user, if he decided, he could treat all the information, put all the information together to work with the grains post-harvest loss management, for example.
Okay, and you see the question by Melanie Koch, Hartford and Ohio, very interesting platform with a lot of data, including very useful. 3 questions. How do you deal with studies conducted in a continent or studies conducted in 2 or more countries? There's a similar chat question related to like regional databases and so forth and so on. How do you deal with that?
Okay, so how do we deal with the studies conducted in one continent or studies in 2 or more countries?
Yeah.
So we have some, for example, just to cite some case, studies that worked with apple loss in Brazil, specifically case. We have some other papers that worked with apple loss in other countries for a specifically supply chain level. Okay, this information are inserted in the database. This information for Brazil, this other one, average number for the other countries. And in the when you see the table with the bibliography and the information listed, you can see the method. So, this guy this paper used a method, a specific method for quantifications. This other one used, for example, interviews. Are they comparable or not? Depends on the goal of the academic, the researcher. So we added this information, a very short information about the method. Okay, the numbers are different, the numbers are close, but the methods are the same or the methods are different. So the academics, the researcher that are using the data, this is another information that SIPPOC provide to the user.
And several questions and chat comments really relate to the updating of the database, and certainly the fact that you have an algorithm that can grab information and an algorithm that can extract information. There's still a human interface that's required, and a human interface means labor, effort, and cost associated with that. So what is your goal with regard to maintaining or updating the database? Maybe once a year, and then how would that be communicated? What's your longer term goal?
Great question again. So we don't have an algorithm that make all the data collection processes and validations automatically. So we have some ways to search in the database. So we collected the whole information, the raw information, and there is a human interface. Okay, this is the number, this is the crop, this is the country, and we put this to insert this in the SIPPOC database. In terms of updating, we have two ways until now. The first one, we at SIPPOC, we are planning to do data collections round twice a year. So in the beginning of each semester, let's again research for new papers and works in the databases to see what can I grab as a new information. This is the first way to update the system, and this is planned for SIPPOC team. So we have undergrad students, we have grad students that are going to work in this way at SIPPOC. And the second one is to involve other universities, other institutions, other consortium members. Okay, in my department, we have in the last 5 years, in the last 10 years, these and these papers, these and these works that were published and measured post-harvest loss for specific crops, specific country, and specifically for a specific supply chain level. So send us the paper, and our team at SIPPOC will do this update in the system. So we are planning to one time in the months, every month, we double check the forms and see, okay, how much answers do we have? Okay, let's double check the numbers, let's double check the papers, and include the information in the SIPPOC system to make the paper available there.
I think another question and comment that's come up several times, and I'm a bit familiar with the platform, is the AFLIS platform, African Post-Harvest Loss Information System, developed by NRI, and I know Tanya Struthers, who is involved with that, is on the webinar, and we could figure out a way perhaps to even bring it in to comment on it. But what is the difference? I mean, a key difference, if I may say so, is the fact that, again, this platform that you're presenting harvests and gathers existing studies that have been published by researchers and really make it more readily accessible by instead of really reading all the papers and extracting the data from the papers and summarizing, it extracts that and makes it available in the searchable database. And hey, if I was a graduate student, this would be the kind of database I would go to really fast to write my literature review on any topic, right? Because this is just a fantastic resource in terms of that. It saves huge amounts of time. And it's not intended to replace a database or a platform like AFLIS that I'm aware of, gets updated with the help of in-country consultants and collaborators that actually evaluate post-harvest loss on certain crops and then put it into that active database for more or less current data that I believe also has been expanded in recent times. And I know Lisa Coutinho just made a comment here too. There was a great publication that was published by her and others in, I think, one of the issues of Nature here recently that also has looked at studies and a database, and that Dropbox folder is available in the chat function. So, I think as a result of all of those efforts, your efforts through the consortium, the efforts of the Post-Harvest Education Foundation, AFLIS, and so forth, I think researchers and others have a lot more ready access to data that is more current and so forth. So that's wonderful. And again, I appreciate everybody putting that in. Fernando and Thiago, you have additional comments on that? Please go ahead.
Oh, just related to the question, how the database distinguishes itself from the F-list. Your words are the same of my words, so I think the database are complementary. So, and we are including in our database the existing studies, so academic research, published papers, and I think F-list is a more official information for a country. They are different in this way, and the informations are complementary. So for our researchers, for our grad students or undergrad students that are interested or doing works in post-harvest loss, as much information this researcher has available, it's better. So I think this book is different from F-list in this way, that we are talking about information specifically for existing studies and published papers.
Yes, I think that's, yeah, okay. So Lisa also posted the Nature article that I recall, which is kind of the scoping review that was also highly selective and really looked at studies and only extracted and selected the ones that were considered using proper methodology and so forth as well. And I think your database has also a function to actually download papers. Is that not correct?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
SIPPOC also has the papers so that you can download papers as long as they're available. Is that correct?
You cannot download the paper, but you can find the bibliography. So you can insert this bibliography information in the Web of Science and other databases,
okay,
or in the Google, and you can find the paper, the paper file.
Yeah. And so Tanya is asking a question here, which again is a very important question. How do you determine the quality of the data? Because again, when one looks at number of studies or a number of studies, whether they are published in peer journal publications or not all data presented in papers that have been published are of the same quality. How do you do any evaluation of the quality of the data?
So we do not evaluate, oh, this is a good paper, or this is a good data, oh, this is a bad paper, this is a bad data. We are not doing this. So the thing is, this is a published paper, or is a conference proceedings. So, okay, these are the numbers, those are the information, this is the bibliography, and this is the method. So the user, oh, I'm doing a post-harvest loss new work, I'm trying to find out some secondary information. Oh, but I don't want to use, for example, information that came for an interview. Okay, I think the researcher, the user, can do this kind of quality analysis. So the thing is, the SIPPOC, we are including published papers and conference proceedings in the platform. Those are the numbers and those are the information, and the user can define, oh, this is good for my work, this is not good for my work, for example. Mm-hmm. That's the way that we are thinking about the databases.
Yeah, and of course that's part of the way when we talked about that, in terms of the consortium effort and why we thought that this would be a valuable exercise, because yes, any one of us can search for papers of a particular study through the online databases that are available and do our own literature review and so forth and so on. But this makes it a lot more readily searchable by crops and regions and countries and different things in terms of what has been published. So that has a huge value in more quickly getting to the heart of the published papers. And then, of course, part of research, part of science is to evaluate the usefulness of data when one perhaps develops their own proposal, or when one develops perhaps a literature review for a paper, or develops research studies and so forth and so on. And so I think we all have to keep that in mind, that one would have to access different tools, different databases for various purposes and reasons. So,
yeah, and a complementary thing is that, for example, the platform give us the opportunity to see the data in a very easy way and compare countries, compare crops, compare supply chain levels. In this case, for example, why the Brazilian loss during transportation for a specific crop is so different from the loss that I'm seeing from Argentina, for example, for the same specific crop. Okay, the paper, if you compare the numbers, they're different. But this initial comparison can give you another kind of insights. The road density, the road conditions, the trucks are different. So when we are comparing with another countries from Africa, from Europe, why the numbers are so different? For example, there is a specific technology in the trucks, in the storage, and this could be applied, or why have this not been applied in my country, for example? So I think the number comparison is the initial processes for more in-depth and detailed comparisons between the countries, between crops, and between the methods they are using to evaluate the crop.
I think another very important consideration I was just reminded of too is that AFLIS, I believe, continues to focus primarily on grains, while SIPPOC includes post-harvest losses across a whole range of, really all ranges of crops, in particular the perishable crops. And just for our own reminder, right, when you really think about post-harvest losses around the globe, they are much more significant in perishable crops than they are in the grain crops, as high as they are in the grain crops. So that's another huge value of this database, that is much more comprehensive, bringing papers together. Fernando, one of the questions that I wanted to bring up is, you also shared as one of the tools in the database, which is a little bit more specific, perhaps at this point in time, for Brazil and your region of Sao Paulo, are the transportation losses and other losses in the post-harvest system of grains. How could one, here in the state of Iowa, we're a large grain producer, soya and maize, big competitor with Brazil, of course, in the global scheme. How could we utilize your platform or your methodology if we wanted to use it for evaluating what's happening here in Iowa? How would we go about that? What would be an example? How could you illustrate that?
I think this is a future goal for SIPPOC. So, for example, at Untitled, we have in the past years a great expertise, great experiences in measuring grain losses in the whole supply chain. And SIPPOC consolidate this kind of information for São Paulo State, for example. And of course, the calculator is a general aspect. But I think this GIS tool, it could be applied and doing in a very similar way to be comparable to Iowa State, with Iowa information in other Brazilian states, in other countries. So we are very interested about thinking and developing a way to include other countries' information about loss during transport, loss during storage, or, for example, information about the crop production, or information about the storage capacity for different regions of the world. So we want to, as a future plan, to advance in this idea with the collaboration with Iowa State University, with the consortium collaborations and other academic institutions, to make the information available in an easier way. So that's the main goal of SIPPOC. The user can see the information, or at least can have a general idea about the information using charts, using maps, and compare different crops, different countries, in different situations. So I think that's a future goal for SIPPOC, and we are very interested in thinking about how this could be done. The IT technology already exists, so it's a kind of calculation and updating processes to include other countries and other regions' data in this GIS tool, for example.
Good, and as we wrap up here and seeing no further questions and chat comments, I do want to thank you again for this excellent presentation, but also the tremendous work that it represents over the last 2 years plus since you first conceived this idea and really accelerated that under the collaboration with the consortium. Again, as a reminder too, the consortium is funded by the Rockefeller Foundation and the Foundation for Food and Agriculture Research, and then really all of the consortium members that are participating in the as institutions. And you guys have done just a great job with your contributions here. We appreciate that. Can you remind us one more time as to how people can access the SIPPOC, whether you do that by sharing your screen, and then it's a matter of, and that really anybody's welcome to sign up for that to gain access. Any final words from your side, Fernando or Thiago, or Jose?
From my side, so I'd like to thank you, Dirk, and all the consortium for this opportunity, this webinar to present SIPPOC. And again, I'm very happy to invite all the academics, all the people to get access to SIPPOC platform through this link or this QR code. The platform is already available. Everything is working in the platform. And more than that, if you have a new paper or a new finding in post-harvest loss measure, and do you want to make it available at the SIPPOC system, you are more than welcome to interact with us by this form or contacting us using our email. For example, we can interact to increase the number of papers and numbers and information available on the SIPPOC platform. So that's my final comments. Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
I just want to emphasize that we are seeing more and more good pieces of work, good papers on such an issue, post-harvest losses. And we are great. We are happy to see good initiatives such as AFLES, such as SIPPOC, that can bring a good reference, a very good reference for further studies, and more than references, systems such as those can bring a bit more of security for the decision making of different governments, different players acting on the agribusiness. We are very grateful to the opportunity that this consortium brought to us, and we hope that in a complementary manner we could increase the solution for post-harvest losses.
Again, thank you, Professor Cajeta, for your group's contributions and for leading this effort. We greatly appreciate it. And as always, every one of our webinars is recorded and available on the consortium website. So again, all of participants feel free to go back to that website for access to our various webinars, and feel free to share that with others too. Again, thank you to our team for organizing this. We will skip the month of December due to the holiday season for webinars, and we'll be back in early 2022 with our webinar series by consortium members as well as others. Thank you all again. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and we look forward to seeing you after the holiday season again with a new webinars. Thank you. Bye-bye.